Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's Natalie. We have a cute little card. We're going to talk about where it's from and everything very shortly. I wanted to put a little tiny background on him. So I'm doing some wood paneling flooring. So along the bottom, I've measured like 1 centimeter increments. You can change that around to suit you. You know, it could be like, I don't know, half an inch, 3/4 of an inch, whatever you would like to do. Along the top, I have measured roughly half. No one's going to go, excuse me, you should have done that in a half. It's whatever you see fit. You could put it off to the left, you could put it off to the right. But I like it pretty much in the center. This one that I'm doing now is a little bit too wide, but we're going to fix that and no one's going to know. Well, you're going to know because it's there and you're going to be able to see it, but anyone just looking at the card is not going to see it. I am going over it with a grey, they're not Memento, the multi-liner pens. Just a grey one, I think it's 0.5. So you see there, it's just a little bit too thick. But if the rest of them that you were doing were that thick, then that would be fine, perfectly fine. This is milled lavender, and you cannot see it. I could see it, but you cannot see it on this. But, you know, it's all good. I'm also going to come through now with some Dusty Concord, and we're going to go over that a couple of times just to make sure the blend is nice. It's going to look a little bit choppy, a little bit patchy on the camera, but that sorts itself out. Let's get back to topic. Copictopia. I am thrilled to announce there's been no big announcement, but she's given us permission to sort of spill the beans. They had a design team call. They are a small little company, and they've been around the girls have been around for a while, but I'm not too sure when the company was started, but they've decided that they would like a design team, and moi was picked to be involved in that, and I'm honoured to be sort of in the early stages of their little design team adventure. I'm honoured to be a part of it. Anyway, so it's super cute. So this stamp is a Bun-a-latte. It is a new release out of February, their February release, and it's super cute. I just think he's adorable with his little tushy stuck up in the air and his head in a cup. I don't even drink coffee, but you know. I've used C3 and C1 to provide a little bit of background to make my bunny come forward a little bit. You do need to make sure that you clean off. It's advisable to clean off your Copic nibs when you're using it with pigment inks. Like this is Tim Holtz. Oxides. Couldn't think of the word. So I've just brushed it off. I've never had a problem. And there's not a lot of ink around my little bunny butt. So I just need you to be aware of it. That's all. So just make sure you clean it off and see how you go. But it's at your own risk. This, as you can see here, it's E44, E43, E42 and 41. I'm going to use a little bit of the R30 for the pads on his feet. I am only going to be doing one layer of this. Now, let's call them rules for the want of a better word. The deal is usually you go over these things 2 times. It gives you a much nicer blend, and 99% of the time that's what I do. Except here. I wanted a light little butt, and I'm also going to do, well, I've just done it. You sort of saw it, but you didn't see it. I put a little bit of rubbing alcohol onto a clean cloth and dabbed it on until I was happy with the texture that it gave me. You need to remember to do this before you colour anything else. Now, I do have my background done. I'm going to touch it up a little bit with a C3 later on. but you dab until you're happy with the texture that you've got. This is really good, obviously, with fur. It's really good for things like jeans or maybe a jumper. What do you call it? You don't call them a jumper? Or do you? I don't know. A woolly jumper. That sort of thing that you want a little bit of texture in it, but you need to do it first. Okay? Do it first. Here's a little tail. I'm doing semicircles just to give it a little bit of fluffiness, a little bit of movement into the image because, their tails are fluffy. They're so stinking cute, but their tails are fluffy. As I said, with his paws, I'm going to use R30 to have a little bit of soft color to put onto that. But to bring it back into the same sort of shading a little bit, we're going to glaze over that with the E41. Tidy up my edging. It was fine really, but I just decided I'll tidy it up a little bit. But again, wipe it off. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is flooring. So I've got the R57, the R55, the R53 and down to R51. Now, normally I probably do the 57 to the 53 and 51 for flooring because it's a wood grain floor. Not everything blends in. But I wasn't liking how it was sort of sitting. So I decided, there's no we, but I decided to add a little bit more. Another color just for that blend to go through. What I often do, a lot of my Copic markers, I actually have replaced the chisel tip with a bullet. I think they call it a bullet. I can't think. Words are hard. I've just had my car serviced and I was sitting at the service place for hours. So now my brain's sort of like stopped. What you want to do is little flicks with a light hand. I've replaced some of my sketches with, as I said, the chisel tip with the bullet tip. And because I'm getting older, and it's a little bit easier, put it that way, a little bit easier to do fine lines and not be quite so heavy-handed because I really am heavy-handed, dudes. I'm really heavy-handed. But you want light motions. So it's an investment to transfer the tips over, but it's doable. Don't think you're getting really heavy-handed or something's happening with your hands sort of thing and you're finding too much pressure. Change some of the chisel tips over, see how you go, if you like it any better before you totally decide not to do it. And that's another point right there that I decided to add a line with the bullet tip. And I'm just going over, trying to use a light hand, as I said, doing a lot of flicking, and it's meant to look like a hot mess until it doesn't. Okay? So now we're putting the E51 through, and this is going to soften some of those lines out, but it's also going to bring it all back in together, and it starts to look much better like a proper wood floor. So play around. As the light lines, you can do the odd little circle. I sort of think about it as the @ sign, the little A with a whoop around it. For knots and things like that, and just play around. And you are going to go, what on earth have you done, until you're happy with it, and keep playing with it until you're happy with it. And then you go, yeah, okay, because it looks a bit of a hot mess until it doesn't. Okay. So this is the E08, YR16, YR17. One of them has YOO, but I decided not even to go there. It doesn't need it. It's all good. It's fine. So for the lines in the little carrots, I've added the the EO8 and just worked my way down. So they've got a little bit of a highlight. Trying to keep the ones on the side, the highlight into the middle. But now I've completely forgotten my Carrot Tops, but I will come back to that. I've got the BV04, BV13, the BV02 and BV31 for my cup because I thought it was fun. But honestly, I wanted the cup to be nice and bright. Okay? And the complementary color to orange is purple. We see a lot of that around Halloween and that sort of stuff. So I'm trying to keep a highlight in the center again because that's what I've done with these little tushy. And I'm actually not going to color the very center of the cup at all. I'm actually even going to soften it again with a O marker just to give it a nice strong highlight. A lot of people do white gel pens and I try that, but people put it in the darkest area and I cannot do it myself. I like it, but I just cannot do it. It's like I used to be a hairdresser. Fun note. I used to be a hairdresser. I don't know if I told you that, but I did. And I always loved those messy haircuts, where they've got a lot of texture in the top of them and mousse and stuff to make them all fluffy and sticky uppy and all this sort of stuff. I loved them. But did I like them on myself? No, I did not. I hated it on myself. I could not, even though I'm a hairdresser, I couldn't bring myself to do it. So that's a little bit like the white gel pen. I love it, but I can't do it on my cards. I can't mentally get my hands to do that. Let's do a little story. It's a little story. One of my nieces had a swimming carnival and she came over. She wanted not the logo. It's not doing any copyright, but like Bondi Junction over Bondi Lifesaver. So it's not the real stuff. It's not breaking any copyright regulations or anything. But we did Bondi Lifesaving on the front because they were going to swimming carnival, so it was fun. We'll come back to that in a minute. The W that I was using a W3. It was just too light, so I did add a little bit of W5 in for the background to earth to ground them. A little bit of foam, and we're going to apply that all down. So she came over. She wanted nicknames on the back. She didn't want their nicknames, although she wanted the nicknames, but everyone else didn't want their nicknames on the back. And some silly sausage decided to print that up, but I forgot to reverse it. I reversed everything else, but I forgot to reverse the actual names. Let's get back to that. This is a little bit of a sneak peek. It is a up-and-coming release in a couple of months. Yes, I oopsed, but I have been given permission to give a little sneak peek of these papers. They're pretty. They're really, really pretty. So stay tuned for those. You have to wait till May, but stay tuned for those. Anyway, so she's like, just put it on. Just put it on. I'm like, they're backwards. They're reversed. She's like, just put it on. I'm like, I physically could not do it, people. I had the heat press thing, the easy press, over the top, and I'm like, I can't do it. Her name's Maggie, but we call her Moo, Maggie Moo. And I'm like, I can't do it, Moo. She's like, just do it. Just do it. I'm like, I can't. She's like, all right. You're having troubles. I'm like, yes. So in the end, we found some other vinyl that we could stick on the back, and it was all good in the end. But I couldn't do it. Am I the only person? Like, I couldn't do it. This is YG17 and YG05 for our little carrot tops, because at this point I sort of went, you've forgotten those carrot tops. The last thing that we're going to do is basically play with some sequins and figure out what I'm going to add. So I decided to go for these clear sequins. You can see I've had gold ones there. I've had the clear drops. Nothing was working for me. Nothing was tickling my fancy. So these sequins were enough. And I'm going to apply those with a little bit of the multimedia matte, whatever the heck that stuff is called. I don't know. It's right there. I use it all the time. You'd think I'd remember, but no. And that is my card for today. I hope you're well. If you liked what you saw, please hit that subscribe button and the like button, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.